Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to our second Canvas workshop on creating assignments where students can submit their work. So my name is Andrew Highnote. I'm the Director of Online Learning. I'll be your host for this workshop, but I also am joined by the rest of the support team. Asani, Alex, Diane, and Thais are in here as well, and they'll be in the chat. So if you have any questions or say anything in the chat throughout the workshop, they will be responding to you and they'll have a close eye on that. And you may hear from them if they think of something I need to show that I forget, which is entirely possible. So without further ado, let's get going. All righty, so I'm going to share my screen. Screen. I have 4 screens. Let me just make sure I pick the right one here. Chrome. Perfect. All righty, so can everybody see my screen? Awesome.
Yes.
So let's get started. So like I said, this workshop is going to focus on creating and understanding the assignment tool in Canvas. And so the assignment tool is primarily used for students to submit attachments to you or to submit some sort of work directly to you that only your eyes as the instructor sees, and then you grade it and give them feedback. Oh, I don't know if something that's making All right, so let's jump into a course and see how this tool works. All right, so I'm going to jump into my training course here. And in Canvas, all assignments are automatically always in this assignments area over on the left. I'm going to go into assignments and I'm actually going to show off how the tool works first, and then we'll go over some of the steps to actually create the things that I show. So I'm going to go to student view. And first thing we're going to do is look at the this homework 2 worksheet assignment. So click on here, and this is going to give you an idea of all the different ways students can submit and complete an assignment in Canvas. I think it's probably most helpful to show you what it does, and then we'll show you how to set it up to do that. So like I said, this is meant for a student to come in here and submit something that only you see. So these are the different types of ways students can enter the thing you want them to submit. So the first option here is text. So if I click on text, this is pretty simple. It's just going to give students a box to type in. Hello, professor. Student would type out whatever they want. They have full access to the text editor here, so they can embed images, pull things in from YouTube, bulleted list, numeric list, indentation, all these fun tools. Most of the time, you won't have students type something in here unless it's short, like a few sentences. If you're going to have them write something longer, that's a few paragraphs, you'd probably be better off having them do that in Word and then attach that there as a Word document. And to do that, they would actually use the upload option. So the other option here, that's text, and then there's also upload. Upload's very straightforward. The student would just come here and use the drag a file here, this little rocket ship, and then they would just pick the file from their computer. So pick the Word document, Excel file, anything you would want students to submit, this would be the way that they would do that. So this is another option here. There's also web URL. This one's new. There was nothing really like this at all in Blackboard, where if you wanted students just to submit a link to something to you, you can do that through here. I can't think of a ton of use cases for it, but I like to shout it out anyway. Maybe if you have students go find an article or something related to something, they can submit it as a link through this option. There's also media assignments. These are very cool. So you can actually use the assignment tool to have students record and submit media directly to you. So in this example, if I did record media here, I'm going to give it access to my devices. And once this finishes spinning, what it's going to do is it's going to allow me as the student to record myself and submit what I recorded directly to you. So I noticed some familiar faces from our workshop the other day where I went over how to organize content in Canvas, but this video recorder works exactly the same way. So I'm going to use this camera. Here we are. Hello. So I've got a lot of I'm a techie person. So I've got 4 monitors, 2 cameras, 8 microphones. I like to be wired for sound here. So this is just going to let the student hit start recording, gives them a quick little countdown, 3, 2, 1. hello, here I am. I'm doing my recording. I'm a student. This is so simple and easy. It's like I never believed it could be this easy. And then I'll click finish. And then as the student, you can watch back what you just did. A little surreal. You can see me recording the video. I can give my recording a name, Andrew's video, and then save it. And that's it. So the student would just come, record their video. If they recorded it on their phone or somewhere else, they could upload the file instead. But if they can record it right in the browser, I think it's just as easy. Come in here, submit that, and then they would click submit, and it just sends the video off for you to grade. No uploading, downloading, anything like that. It just uses everything built right into the into Canvas, which is wonderful. That could be great if you're having students do like oral presentations or go out in the field and record something on site somewhere. They can submit those videos to you right here, either recording it right through Canvas or uploading it if they've got the video file on their phone or something. Next up is one that we are very excited about. It is called annotation. So an annotation assignment would be something you'd use when you have students working on something like a worksheet. So you upload a file like a Word document or something that they are going to go download. In the past, they would download it and then type on top of it, maybe answer the questions, fill out whatever you've got in there. So I went out on another college's website on Google and I found a worksheet on how to identify nouns. And so this is just a Word document I uploaded. You can upload a Word document, a PDF, whatever you've got. But instead of students having to download it, fill it out, attach it back, anybody who's accepted work from students online knows that sometimes sounds a lot easier than it is in practice when the students go to do it, depending on the devices they're using. They can actually type and edit on top of the document you provide right in Canvas without ever having to download it and without having to have Microsoft Word or PowerPoint or anything like that, or anything they can write on a PDF. This is going to be huge, especially for our students that use Chromebooks and you can't put Word on a Chromebook. So what they do is they look at this document, just like I'm looking at it now, and then up here at the top, they have little buttons that they can use to annotate. So for example, this says, underline the common nouns in these sentences. So I'm going to use my little pencil icon here, and I'm going to pick a color. I'll do red, and it says, I have to know common nouns. Hope there's no English teachers here. But I'll say, okay, how about this? That's a noun. I know it's not. I'm just gonna pick random words. I know, I see you shaking your head, Sue. I know, I'm just doing random ones. But you can see the simplicity with which students can do this. They didn't have, go ahead.
Yours are now.
Yours are now. I know. Person, place, or thing. I listen to Schoolhouse Rock. I know. So the students can use the pencil to just draw on something. There's also a highlighter option, so they can highlight things. Or they can use this little T, and they can type directly somewhere. So if they wanted to type on this line, I can say, hello, I am typing here. And so basically the students can just annotate on top of this document and write on it on exactly what you uploaded. And then they just submit it. And then on your end, you get the document completely filled out by the student. You can do your own annotations on top of it, correct them, and you actually get basically the same interface where you can actually add more text. You can use your own pencil, scribble on top of this, and then that gets submitted to you. This is, like I said, it can't be overstated how huge this is for students with Chromebooks, and it's really going to make a difference to their accessibility for accessing these types of assignments. And hopefully we'll simplify.
Andrew, can I ask a question?
You may.
If I have a quiz or an exam that I've written that I want them to fill out, this is where I would put it?
It depends. Does it have questions that are automatically graded, like multiple choice and stuff?
There's multiple choice, like, A, B, C, and then they have to pick out what's the correct one, or it's fill in the blank kind of thing.
Yep.
So is that the place to do it? Because usually what I do is I'll have them access it on Blackboard, fill it out, and then attach it to an email to me.
Yep. So this would not be the tool for that. I would recommend using the quizzes tool, which is its own workshop where you can learn about it. And the nice thing about using a quiz, especially for questions that can automatically grade, like multiple choice, true or false matching, is it will do the grading for you. this requires you to read and review and grade. So this is, you know, these need you to do that.
What
So
about a paper? What about if I assign them a paper?
this would be the tool. You wouldn't use annotation, but you would use the upload option for a paper.
All right,
So
so they
students
would
would
write
come
the
upload
paper
their
and then
paper.
upload it to me?
Yep. So they would do
Okay.
an assignment, upload assignment. Once I start showing how to actually make these, it'll make a little bit more sense where you actually get prompted to choose what type
Yeah.
of assignment you want to make.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I looked at it for the first time yesterday and I almost passed out.
Well, I almost
almost-
passed out because I like it so much. So
Well, it took me almost 4 years to figure out Blackboard, and now that I got sort of a handle on it, now we're at campus, and it's like reading Greek to me right now.
that's
So,
okay. Well, if that's exciting, wait until you see what I'm about to show now. So
oh,
this is another
okay.
assignment, and I want to show off the other side of a new tool we have called Turnitin. So this was a final paper that the students submitted. And so not only do we now have plagiarism detection through a tool called SafeAssign, which is kind of similar to something we had in Blackboard, we also now have artificial intelligence detection. So anytime a student submits an assignment, so I just came in and I copied some stuff from Wikipedia, and then I also grabbed some stuff from Google's artificial intelligence ChatGPT competitor. So what happens is they come in here, they can upload it, and when they submit, they actually check a box that says, I understand this submission will be scanned by Turnitin. Any plagiarism or information generated by artificial intelligence tools will be detected. All academic work submitted by students is subject to Bristol's academic integrity policy. And so they cannot even submit unless they check that box. And what happens is once they submit, on the other side is the instructor, you get this fantastic little report that I will show you now that looks like this. So when you come in to grade it, I'm not going to go all into grading right now, but over on the right, you see this little percentage, it says 66%. When you click on that, it opens up the Turnitin reports, and it's actually going to show two reports, one for plagiarism and one for artificial intelligence. So here, open this. And so, not now. Here it's showing me for similarity. So they call plagiarism similarity. It's just telling me all this content highlighted in red came from this Wikipedia page, which is true. I copied it from that Wikipedia page. But then up at the top here, I can go to AI writing. It says 38%. And so it shows now this was 38% of this was generated by artificial intelligence. And it shows here, it's a little hard to see, but it's sort of highlighted in a light greenish blue. So it tells you where specifically text came from that was artificial intelligence. So this first paragraph, I copied right from Wikipedia. The second one, I had artificial intelligence right. And you can see it picked up everything except the first line. It's not a perfect science, this detector. You really have to look at that number and then look at the student's work and sort of use your own judgment as well. And there is a disclaimer attached to this that says it helps you identify work that's generated by artificial intelligence. And it says our model only processes qualifying text in the form of long form writing. So it only really can detect artificial intelligence roughly 1 page or longer. So this is 2 paragraphs. It was able to pick it up. So it's about 300 to 400 word minimum before it can pick up if it was generated by artificial intelligence. And if it can't detect anything, like it just won't, like it's not enough text to determine if it was artificial intelligence written, which would mean less than a paragraph, then it just won't generate a score at all. But for anything, like I said, this is 388 words and it was able to determine it. So most of the stuff students would be submitting through here would be able to be scanned for AI. But this is something that folks have definitely been needing. Part of me is a little scared of what this is going to reveal because we know that there's a lot more students using that than we might actually know. So it's great now that we're actually going to have a tool that can help instructors sort of guide this conversation with students. And also students can see this as well. After they submit, there's no secrets. They can see the plagiarism report and they can see the artificial intelligence report. You have the option to hold it back from them if you want, but for the most part, I think let them know. Let them know what they did and let them see it because they're going to know one way or another. All right, so that is a sort of overview of the types of assignments you can have. So now let's talk about how to actually create those assignments. So I'm coming here to this assignments page in my course site, and then in the top right corner, I'm going to create an assignment. And I'm going to call this assignment, let's say homework 2. And then in the box here, I'm just going to put my instructions for the assignment. So complete homework 2 and submit your answers as an attachment. All right, pretty standard assignment stuff. Next up, it's asking me to put in the points. So I'm going to say it's worth 100 points, but you can grade however makes the most sense to you. Assignment groups. This is covered more in our grading workshop where we go over the grade book. But if you used the grade book in Blackboard, there was a thing called categories, and this is kind of connected to that. But if you want to know more about grading, come over to our grading workshop. Displaying the grade, you can either show it as points, so 90 out of 100, 10 out of 10, whatever you want to work with. You can do a percentage. So if you put in 50 points out of 100, it'll show a 50%. Complete, incomplete, where the grade will just appear as one of those two words, either it's kind of a pass-fail situation. There's also letter grade. By default, it's lined up with Bristol's grading schema that's in the student handbook. You can adjust it if you want to, but if you wanted to grade with A+, B+, B-, whatever, you could do that. And then there's also GPA scale where it would be like a 0 to 4.0. You can do that. Or you can do not graded and just have it be a way where students can submit something. You can give them feedback, but it's not actually tracked as part of the grade. It's just a mechanism to collect the stuff from students. I'm going to stick with points, but as you can see, there's other options there. And then there's also a checkbox here to not count this assignment toward the final grade. So if this was a draft assignment, or if this was something that really was just meant to be formative and not calculate into a final grade, you can check that box and it just makes sure that it never factors in the grade you give students to this for this assignment into any final grades. Now let's look at submission type. So this is kind of connecting to that screen we were looking at earlier, where we had annotation and upload and media and all that. So when you are thinking about the type of submissions you want from your students, the first option is actually no submission. So if this was something the students did in class, like handed you a physical paper and it wasn't an online submission, or it's just something that you needed to make a column for in your grade book that didn't have a specific submission attached to it, for example, participation or attendance, you would use no submission. So there's no thing students have to do. You just wanted a column in your grade book to put something. If you do online, that's going to open up the options for how you want students to submit the work online. And so as you can see, there's online entry options. So the text entry box is going to give students the option to type directly into the assignment. So that was that first option we showed a little bit earlier, where they're not attaching, they're just typing directly in a box to you. The website URL presents them with that little box where they can submit a link to you. Again, I don't know that they'll use that much, but there's an option for it. Media recordings, this is where it gives them that ability to either upload or record a video right in the interface for the assignment. We showed that earlier. And then we also have student annotation. So this is that option where you upload a document and then the students write right on top of it in Canvas. So if you choose student annotation, you just have to choose the file you want them to write on. So you would do up your worksheet in Microsoft Word, and then you would upload it right in here, and that would be the basis for the student annotation assignment. And then the other option is just file uploads. So file upload would mean they can attach something from their computer. Something that's handy is you can actually restrict the upload file types. So if you've ever gotten an attachment that says .pages and you weren't able to open it, you can prevent that from happening because you can actually say, I only want my students to be able to submit documents and docx's. So that would make it so that students are only able to submit Word documents. If they try to submit anything else, it won't even let them submit. So that's some really fantastic uniformity. And in the current environment, students have full free access to Microsoft Word as a student of Bristol. So there's no reason students shouldn't be able to get Word because it's free. If they do submit a Pages document, Canvas will actually show it to you in the browser, unlike Blackboard did, which is nice and is helpful. But if you want to get them into the habit of using Word, which is really for the best, you can restrict them more deeply if you want to. And you can actually check multiple. So if you want students to be able to submit in multiple different ways, you could have multiple different options. So like you saw on that assignment I showed earlier where I had multiple buttons, if you want them to be able to do a media recording or submit an attachment, you can check multiple boxes. It's totally fine. The tool is more powerful, but it's nice that it's still all housed under one thing. It's just called an assignment. All right, moving along here, you have the ability to limit the number of attempts your students have to submit the assignment. So by default, it lets them submit as many times as they want. But if you wanted to change that, you can just say limited to 1 or set it to however many attempts you'd want them to be able to resubmit. And then we have plagiarism review. So here's where I'm going to choose Turnitin, and it's going to load for a moment, but this is where it's going to turn on the plagiarism and artificial intelligence detection. So there's some options here that you can consider. One of them is if you want it to, it's actually smart enough if you have students create sections called bibliography, it will detect what's in the bibliography and not mark things from where that bibliography is from as plagiarized. And then you can also have it ignore anything that the students put in quotes. So it's up to you though. You don't check those boxes, it will scan them and treat them that way, but it gives you a little extra level of granularity, which is nice. Submission indexing, we recommend leaving that checked. What Turnitin does is it saves all these student submissions in a giant Bristol Community College database. It's not something you or other faculty or students can access, but if a student reuses a paper of their own or someone else's that was also submitted and scanned by Turnitin, it will actually tell you, hey, this is Andrew Hinote's submission from English 105 at Bristol. Or, hey, this is Andrew Hinote's submission from English 102 at Framingham State or Harvard or wherever else they might have submitted it at another school that uses Turnitin. So it really expands the scope of being able to help you identify where the work originally came from. So definitely leave on submissions being indexed because that's helpful. The only time you wouldn't want submissions indexed is if students are submitting drafts, so that the final product isn't marked as plagiarism against the draft they submitted earlier. Generating similarity reports. Usually you won't bother changing this, but basically it says immediately and on due date. So what that's going to do is as soon as the student submits, it's going to scan it for similarity and for artificial intelligence. And then after the due date passes, it does another sweep. And it just sort of goes and rescans everybody who's submitted so far to make sure if there's any new sources out there on the internet, it matches it against whatever new stuff might be visible to the tool. So leaving that default is what most folks will do. And then here's where I mentioned students can see the report. So by default, they can see their similarity and artificial intelligence report immediately. But if you want, you can hold back that information from students until after you've graded, until after the due date, or just never release that information to students so they can't see the report. Whatever you feel is most appropriate for your assignment, it's fine with us. All right, and then there's also functionality here that allows you to connect assignments to specific groups. Now we have a workshop solely focused on group management because it's a really cool functionality in Canvas for handling groups that actually opens up some nice new options for doing group work. So I'm going to sort of reserve that for the groups workshop. Shout out to the groups workshop. I'll show when those are happening at the end of this session. There's also a peer review functionality. This is also very cool for any of you folks who do peer review work. So if you check this box, it's going to make it so that students are able to basically grade each other. And it turns it into a different type of exercise. So manually assigned peer reviewers is going to make it so that you choose who is going to go and review who. But if you do automatically assigned peer reviews, you could just say everybody has to do 2, and then it just randomly assigns 2 people to each person so that they, so like, for example, I would have like Asani and Alex, and then it would assign, you know, Diane 2 other random people in the class until everybody's got an assigned person. And then you can also do a due date, a sort of a specific due date for the peer review side of things. So I could say peer reviews are due this, you know, next Friday, and then a little further down you can set a due date for the overall assignment. So you could say first everyone has to do their peer reviews, and then after that there's a later due date for the actual final submission. And then if there's a checkbox here, if you want, you can make peer reviews be anonymous. So it's up to you if you want students to be able to see who reviewed their stuff and what comments they might have made. All righty, moderated grading. Most folks won't use this, but if you're teaching a class where you have multiple instructors in the same course, or you have TAs where you're splitting up the grading between you, you can assign specific graders to specific students. This was also a function in Blackboard. Most folks didn't use it, but if this was something that you wanted to do, you were able to do it. But really, if you do have multiple instructors in the same course, and if they both have access as an instructor, they can both grade anything anyway. So there really wouldn't be too much of a use for this tool. And then anonymous grading. So I know this is a thing in certain classes that the faculty want to blind grade certain things. So if you wanted to make it so that you can't see students' names when you're grading, you check that box. And then as far as you're concerned, the grades are the work is anonymous, but the grades go to the correct student. So if you're grading my submission, it doesn't say it's mine, but then once you enter a grading feedback in the grade book, it still saves it under my name because it sends it to the right place. And then you can also choose for annotations you make on a document students submit. If a student submits a document, you can choose to anonymize those annotations as well from the instructor. Up to you. And then here we have the assigning functionality. So this is where you can put in something like a due date. So I'll say this is due like June 21st. And then I can say students were able to submit it from like today through, let's say, June 22nd. So I'm saying here, assign everyone this assignment, make it due June 21st, and they can start submitting and it becomes visible to them April 8th, and then it disappears from their view on June 22nd. But wait, there's more. So if you click this little add button down at the bottom, you don't have to have just one due date. So if you've ever had a student who you needed to give an extension to, or you needed to give more time, you can do that for assignments now. So if I wanted to give, let's say, I don't have any students in this class, but if I were to choose some random student here, pretend that's a student's name, I could say for just this student, I want them to have a due date of June 28th. I'm going to give them an extra week. And I'll open up this assignment for only this one student for a slightly different window of time. So everybody else is going to lose access on the 22nd of June, but obviously this student gets an extra week. So I'm going to give them till June 28th. And so it'll do that. And so this is really phenomenal because you can set specific due dates and availability windows for the entire class, by group, or by individual students, which is really helpful if you need to give someone an additional time for whatever reason it might be. And this could be something for something coming up in the future. So if a student's going to be away and they want to get ahead on an assignment, you can open it up for just that one student early and they can get it done. Or it could be something sort of reactive where the student says, I'm sorry, something happened, I couldn't do my homework. And instead of opening it up for everyone, you can only make it visible to that one student and adjust that due date for just that one student so that it doesn't come in marked as late. Pretty powerful, but also quite simple looking. So that is the settings of creating an assignment. So let's save this. Oops. Save it. All right, so we have an assignment. So now I come here and I can see homework 2. I've got my directions and then the submissions are here. And then I'm not going to get into grading in this particular workshop, but up in the top right corner, if I was ready to grade as an instructor, I would use this little speed grader button up here in the corner. But homework 2 now lives under my assignments area. So here I can see homework 2. It's all set up. It says when it's going to be available. It says how many points it is. If I want to edit what I just created, I just click the little 3 dots button next to the name of that assignment, and I would choose edit to get back in and look at those settings. So assignments is one place you can put your assignments, and all assignments always live here. There's also this the ability to organize things into modules. So in the previous workshop, we talked a little bit more about modules, but basically, your modules would be like your weeks, week 1, week 2, chapter 1. And you can put your content in there, but you also might want to have your assignments in here, right? Put whatever assignments go with week 1 into week 1. So if you were to go to this module and then click the little plus sign here next to week 1, I can say, hey, I want to add a link to my homework 2. So I'm going to say link to my homework 2 assignment, add item, and then it puts it right into the module for the students. So in Blackboard, there used to be a lot of confusion about if I edit the links in the date here, does it update it in the other place? None of that in Canvas. Wherever you see something, if you edit its name, directions, settings, there's only one place. You edit it and you change it and you hit save and it looks right, that means it's right and you're good to go. Right, so next up, I want to talk a little more about how students can interact with assignments. And sort of coincidentally, I'm also going to show you how to grade an assignment because I did not think to set this particular piece up. So I'm going to go grade this assignment very quickly. It's not terribly different from Blackboard. You can annotate you can use these little buttons here to annotate on the document the student submitted. Over on the right, you can type in a grade that they might have earned, say 100 here, and then I'll say good work, right? And then I'm going to submit. For a deeper dive on this, come over to our grading workshop next week, and we're done. All right, so grade is submitted, fantastic. Let me back out of here. How do I back out of here? There we go. Come back to course and then go to student view. And now as a student, when I come in and look at that graded assignment, student view, look at my grades. Oh, that was one little thing I wish I would have pointed out. When you put a grade in for students and it's new, they get a little 1 next to the grades, letting them know a new grade's been entered. The little things in Canvas, I'm telling you. And so here, the student can see what you graded, right? So here's my final paper that got graded. I just did it. And then I can see, oh, my instructor's got feedback for me. And here I can read good work. If I click on my grade, whoops. Click on my assignment. View the feedback. As a student, not only can I see what you graded, right? Here's my assignment that I submitted and totally plagiarized and stole from artificial intelligence. But if I click on view feedback, what you wrote as the instructor is right here. And the students can actually reply directly to your feedback from an assignment. So if the student says, oh, I thought I did better on that, or they have a specific question about your feedback, they can say, hello, I have a question about your feedback, ... And then they can send that comment to you. So this is nice. It's like a little discussion thread nested into every assignment that you grade, and it opens up a communication channel with the students about the grading process for this specific submission. Now, you might think, oh my goodness, how am I going to manage this? That's going to be a lot of messages. It's not bad. So the student came in and responded here. So I'm going to jump out of student view. And then when I come into my assignment and click on, oh my goodness. I need to use a lifeline. Where do the faculty, site team, faculty, where do faculty see the responses to the student feedback?
There are usually 2 ways. I believe it will show up in your inbox. You can also click on the item in SpeedGrader to see it, the feedback, and you'll also get an email notification that you did get a feedback response.
Perfect. That's what I thought. Thank you.
Yeah. By default, the setting is set to give you a daily summary. So let's say you got 5 comments in that day, you would just get 1 email showing you those comments and then giving you a link to view each comment.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Asani. There's a daily digest, so you don't get bombarded with emails. That makes a lot of sense. So you get 1 email a week, 1 email a day, letting you know if any students commented back on your feedback. But here in the grading interface, you can see the student made this little comment back to you, and you could talk back to them if you wanted, and then they would get an email in return. So it sort of brokers it all through your Bristol email there once a day, so that you don't get slammed. That makes a lot of sense. So that is the student feedback side of things. I'm going to go show another feature related to assignments now. So let's back out of here. Oh, while I have the screen open, actually, down here in the bottom right corner, you can see there's a reassign assignment button. So if you want the students to come in here and if you want to sort of send this back to the student to do it again, you can use this reassign assignment button. and it says this assignment has been reassigned. And basically that opens it up for the student to submit again. It doesn't delete the submission you just did, but say that student came back and said feedback and said, oh my goodness, professor, I'm sorry, I attached the draft instead of the final. You can just say, oh, no problem, reassign it back to them and they can submit it again. Super
This will also show on the student's dashboard in their to-do list, which kind of curates things that they should kind of be looking at based on dates. And yeah.
Yeah, really powerful tool. Now I'm going to back out of here and come show off another interesting feature. So something that is a little bit of a pain is when students come or submit something late or don't realize, having trouble with the technology or something, and then they email you the file as an attachment instead of going in and actually attaching it in the assignment. And in Blackboard, there really wasn't a way for you to go put it where it belonged. Not the case anymore. So if I came in here and where's my grades? Am I in student view still? No. Grades. Here we are. So say I wanted to go submit homework 2 for this student. What you do is you'd click where their grade would be, and then there's this little arrow button, and there's a button here to submit for student. So if you have the file the student wanted submitted, you can actually use submit for student, and then it just lets you attach the file you wanted to submit right there. Big help. You don't want to have to do it for the students, but it happens. Students submit wrong, they have problems, they have to email it to you instead. You're able to just click right where their grade would be, hit this little arrow button, and then submit it on their behalf. And another little sneak peek at a future workshop, you'll notice that there's these different classifications they call statuses for when you're grading. So you could say that it's late and mark it late if you want to, and there's some really interesting functionality built into the gradebook that allows you to automatically deduct late points by a percentage calculation if you want to have that sort of uniform rule across your course. Alrighty, so we have pretty much covered everything I wanted to about assignments. Now, before I start to sort of wrap up and move into some follow-up stuff, does anybody have any questions about the stuff we've shown so far with assignments? Bueller? No? I did that good of a job explaining everything? I'll take it. I'll take it. Alrighty, so I mentioned this in the end of every workshop. If you attend any others, you're going to get the same spiel. So the best way to get help with Canvas is when you first log in on the dashboard, you'll see any courses you're teaching and assigned to for the summer or fall. And when you click into them, more than likely they're empty. If you have an empty course, you should definitely land on a page like this that says Get Started Checklist. And so this is going to take you through the steps to get going. So the first order of business for most of you will be to pull things in from Blackboard, and that's going to require us, the online support team, to migrate that stuff over from Blackboard. And we actually have a link right here to that form where you can let us know what course in Blackboard you want pulled into whatever future course you're teaching in Canvas. Right now, we're only dealing with summer courses, summer 2024, but later this month, we'll open up requests for fall as well. So first order of business, if you're teaching, we want to get your stuff migrated for you. Second, we have a whole bunch of training options. So you are already here starting our Zoom training, so we're so happy to have you. So there are 7 different workshops that we're offering. We have them scheduled now through the end of June, and then probably in a month or two, we'll schedule the rest out for the rest of this summer. So those are great, 1 hour each through Zoom, hosted by a member of our wonderful team. But we also have Growing with Canvas, which is a course site you're all automatically enrolled in. And that's a self-paced course where you can take basically an online course in Canvas on how to use Canvas. It's fantastic. And then we also have these first day ready learning pathways where they're also self-paced online training courses that are from Canvas that are a little bit more like this, where you're sort of watching a video and learning about different pieces of Canvas. So we have synchronous options, we have asynchronous options, we got options. And then down in step 3, we have some little tips here. So old habits to leave behind with Blackboard, for example. If in your course sites you notice you have references to the word Blackboard or e-learning, those are old words we're not using anymore. So try to clear those out to avoid student confusion, et cetera, et cetera. And then we also have this wonderful migration checklist. And this migration checklist is fantastic for once you have requested your content be migrated from Blackboard, and then you hear from one of us saying it's all set and ready to go for you. This document is going to be very helpful because it's sort of a step-by-step, okay, I've logged into Canvas and I'm ready to start working on my course. Start here and do all that stuff to finish and get your course ready for students. And it's a few pages long, but it's, you know, check your links, check your language, sort of making sure you understand and sort of proof that everything looks good. Also, over on the left, we have this help button. And this is going to be super useful for you and students. Over on the left, help. It's on every page, no matter where you are in Canvas. And you have a few options here. First up, and this is more for students, but tutoring, research, and writing help, great for students. We also have chat with Canvas support. There's a student one and a faculty one. This is going to be a live chat tool where you can type. There's also a Canvas support hotline where you can call them on the phone and get help with whatever Canvas question you might have. And then you also have report a problem where you can submit a ticket and then get a response back via email. What's nice is that these options are all 24/7. So anytime you or your students have a question or concern about how to use Canvas or do anything clicky, you just use whatever option works best for you and you can get help. I can say firsthand, I called the hotline because I was having a problem as a real tech. If I have to call, you know, I've got high standards. I'm the tech guy. So when I called, it was resolved within 6 hours and it was like a big technical problem. So they pick up the phone and they know what they're talking about. Really fantastic new sort of tier 1 level of support that we haven't had in the past. Everybody has 24/7 access to Canvas. If someone reaches out to their support and they don't have an answer, like it's about enrollment or it's about something that's not actually a Canvas question, they know who to refer them to as well. So that's a fantastic aid there. The help button is a big help. Now, I'm also going to reiterate how to get into Canvas, just for anybody who doesn't know. So if you want to log into Canvas, in Blackboard right now, right to the right side of the page where your list of courses are, there's a button that says log into Canvas, and that will get you into Canvas. It'll take you to this dashboard page where you'll see your content listed, your courses listed. And then there's also this page, learn more about training and support. If you click on there, some of you might have already seen this page because you know about this workshop, but there's a button here to log into Canvas as well. There's the link to the summer course migration. And then there's also the link to our workshop calendar where you can sign up for future workshops. As you can see, we have a whole bunch offered here. We welcome you to come too. And then there's also a tool where you can book an appointment. So if you want to meet with one of us one-on-one, you can book an appointment, 15, 30, or 60 minutes with somebody on our team, and we'll meet with you via Teams to go over anything you might need help with in Canvas. Sue, I see your hands up.
Yeah, I had a question from a few minutes ago, and I'm on the iPad, not the PC that I normally use.
Okay.
When you annotate a spot in a student's assignment and you underline it, they're not going to have any idea what it's for. Is there also a comment box? Usually I'll put something like CS run on or something like that, or a verb. You know what I mean? But I don't know if you can do that. That was a few minutes ago.
No, I understand what you're asking. So we have our grading workshop goes into a lot more depth of how to grade everything. But I'll give you a quick little peek since we've got time. Let's go in here. Let's go look at an assignment. Let's look at this one. And then go into our speed grader here. So when you come in here and like you said, you do an underline, right? See this little button here?
That's a highlight, right?
Well, that's a highlight. So
yeah. All right.
And then if I do, we have strike through, highlight, point. Yeah, so all of these options there is no underline. So there's highlight, strike through. You can just do an underline. So like if you wanted to just do a scratch, you can do that, but it still gives you the option to add text to every annotation you create.
Oh, with the underline.
Yep. So it's not really an underline. It's just like a pen. So I can scribble however I want to, and then it still lets you attach a comment.
But it's only with that, not with the highlighter.
Every single one of them has that option. Yep. So if I go to highlight and I highlight, see, I can still type.
Oh, okay. That little, yeah, it's on the iPad.
It like puts it over to the side.
Yeah, because otherwise they have no idea what the problem is because they might not recognize that it's a run-on, or they usually don't recognize what the problem is. So
Yeah,
you need to
can add
kind of put in,
yeah, you can add an explanation for every type of annotation you put on the paper.
and then you can go into it in more depth in the final when you do the grade, and there's a bigger comment box.
Yep, down here.
Yeah, for feedback. I
Yep.
usually give a lot of feedback.
Yep, there's plenty of space for all that. And what's nice too is students can download it with all the annotations on it. So if they want to save what you graded, they can save that out as a PDF with all your annotations on it. Are students going to be trained in using Canvas? So for students, the options are going to be the virtual orientations that we've always done the first week of every semester, so they can drop in and get help with Canvas from a member of our team. Students also have access to this help button, and they can contact support via the chat or phone or a ticket, so they can get live help anytime they want, 24/7. And then when they log into Canvas, they'll have a different course. So you have Growing with Canvas, which teaches instructors how to use Canvas and build courses. They'll have a course called Passport to Canvas, and that teaches students how to use the different features on the student side of things. So they've got basically the same options you do. They don't have dedicated trainings, but they kind of have anytime drop-in help, since that's a little more suited to the students than picking a specific hour for them.
I also want to add that we'll be having on the homepage that'll be on all the courses. We're going to be reiterating some introductory information for them, highlighting the Passport to Canvas course and giving them a little checklist to get started off for themselves as well.
Yep, we pre-populated every course with this little module. So your courses all come with some content from us for students on getting started in Canvas, Office, like Asani just said, giving them a little get started information. All righty, we made pretty good time. Any other questions?